Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask a Property Manager episode 26. Today is June 24th, 2020. We're coming to you live from Studio 2.0 here at Own Buffalo. I'm Andrew Schultz, Principal Broker of Own Buffalo. And on today's show, we're going to be talking to you about some questions that we've pulled from landlords from around the country. Before we jump into that, we are going to plug our social media. New episodes of Ask a Property Manager drop every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on our Facebook page. You can catch that, facebook.com/Buffalo Foreclosed Homes. Make sure that you like and subscribe to that page as well, as we do put out a fair amount of content there. You can catch us on Instagram, instagram.com/ownbuffalo. The stuff that we post on Instagram is completely different from the stuff that we post on Facebook and on YouTube. And then you can always grab a link to our YouTube page over off of our website, ownbuffalo.com. We definitely post the Ask a Property Management segments over there on a daily basis. On a weekly basis. And then we also post like apartment walkthrough videos and some things over there as well. We're going to have a whole series of content that we're going to be launching over there on a rehab project that we're tackling. That'll be interesting to watch. We'll talk more about that as the time comes. But in the meantime, feel free to subscribe to that page so that you're always staying current with whatever we have going on. Don't forget that you can always grab a free 30-minute phone consultation or a Zoom consultation with me over at ownbuffalo.com. There will be a link there where you can click to grab an appointment. I do have a couple of appointments available for tomorrow, and then next week I have quite a bit of availability open as of right now as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Speaking of things to keep in mind, don't forget to tune in to the Rent Prep for Landlords podcast. On tomorrow's episode, Eric and I will be discussing the changes that our companies have gone through as a result of the current global situation. And then starting July 2nd, I'll be hosting new episodes of the podcast, which will be available for download every Thursday. So be sure to download and listen today using your favorite podcast app. That pretty much wraps up our social. I want to jump right into our questions and answers. All of these were pulled from the Rent Prep for Landlords Facebook group. That Facebook group is a private group just for landlords. It's about 12,000 members strong right now, and it's a great resource for you to be able to log in, ask a question, and get a variety of different perspectives from different landlords and property managers around the country. So definitely check that out if you haven't already tied into that resource. The first one that we're going to jump into here is an appliance repair question. Tenant wants me to fix their refrigerator ice maker. I own the refrigerator. Does anyone have experience with this? There's nothing in my lease regarding this. What I would say in this situation is if you included a refrigerator in your rental when you rented the apartment or the home, and it had a working ice maker when you rented it, you need to maintain that working ice maker as part of that appliance throughout the tenancy. If there's nothing in your lease that specifically states that appliances are provided for courtesy purposes only or won't be repaired, pretty sure that you're going to find yourself on the hook for that appliance repair. Not to mention, it's really annoying to be a tenant and be in a situation where, you moved into an apartment and you had a working ice maker, or you had 4 working burners on your stovetop or something like that, and then, something stops working. Your ice maker fails, one of your burners stops working, and your landlord just ignores it. That's one of the most obnoxious things to happen for a tenant. Just do the right thing. Make sure you get that appliance repaired. You might find that you can get a replacement part for cheaper than what you expect. My recommendation would be hop on. I think it's appliancepartpros.com or appliancerepairpros.com. You can look up your make and your model and find the parts that you need and have them shipped right to your house. So that would be my recommendation on that. Next thing we're going to talk about is shower doors versus shower curtains. Which would you prefer, shower door or shower curtain for a bathroom with a bathtub and a shower? My dilemma: at one of my rental units, having a bathroom with a shower curtain, one of my tenants hasn't used the curtain properly during his tenancy, and that has gotten our vanity damaged by water. At the other rental unit, another tenant broke a glass shower door. Both were happened long years ago. Now that I have another rental unit with bathroom under repair renovation, since the tub surround walls were damaged, needed to be replaced. It has very dirty shower doors too. I have 3 options: keep using the existing shower doors, put up a new shower curtain, or replace the shower doors, 2 new ones. Any comments would be appreciated. So my preference for a rental is typically going to be a shower curtain. And I'm actually going to switch over to desktop here real quick because I pulled up the one that I like, or the style that I like. It's actually a curved rod, and the nice thing about this is it makes your shower feel a little bit more airy when you are in it. It causes the curtain to kind of come out and around as opposed to being right up against you. I feel that for the extra few dollars that you're going to spend on a curved shower rod, it really does help to make a drastic difference when it comes to the overall enjoyment of the shower. I personally have shower doors. 6 to 1, half dozen the other. I don't love them. I don't hate them. The problem with shower doors is they require constant cleaning. All the tracks and everything have to be cleaned constantly. Over time, you'll find that you'll constantly be recaulking shower doors to prevent them from leaking and things like that. So I think my advice would be go with a curved shower rod instead of a shower door type situation, given that you have a tub and shower combo. This might even be something that's market specific. You might want to look at some other rentals in the area and see if they're going with doors or if they're going with shower rods, just so that you're kind of staying current with what's on trend in your particular market. Carpet or vinyl flooring? Is it worthwhile replacing carpet with thin vinyl glue down planks? Not, I think that's supposed to say not tongue and groove, for living room or dining room. Do they take rental abuse? So we've installed a ton of vinyl resistant flooring over the years into our apartments. And I can say that, yeah, vinyl flooring tends to hold up really, really well as long as it's installed properly. We're going to jump back to desktop screen here again because I pulled a couple of different flooring choices to look at. These are both off of the Home Depot website. And the first one I pulled is a luxury vinyl plank flooring. I want to jump into the photos on this so that you can see, is that the one I'm looking for? It is. So that you can see what the connection is on these. So this is how your planks are going to link together, is this little tiny strip around the outside of the plank. It's basically a snap together style flooring. Let's try this photo so you can see a little bit better. You can see the plank here. You've got basically the, it's called a drop and lock, yeah. So this is basically your snap together style vinyl plank flooring. Decent option, water resistant, good resistance to tenants for the most part. You will get a good long lifespan out of it, or you should get a good long lifespan out of it. The other product I pulled was the Traffic Master by Allure product. This is a little bit different scenario. This is a stick down product with overlapping tabs. So basically this gray tab that you see here has an adhesive on it, and that adhesive is what will stick to the next plank so that you end up with a floor that looks like this, and you get these little seams in between your planking. So that's another option if you don't want to go with a snap together, if you want to go with something that has the adhesive. The nice thing about both of these products is there's not an adhesive on the bottom of it. These are both floating floors. So you're not worrying about gluing it down to the floor, to the subfloor, whatever. You can just do a layover on a variety of different flooring. So if you already have like a subfloor or an existing tile or something like that, you might be able to go right over the top of this. Basically, the only thing you're not going to go over the top of it with would essentially be a carpet or something like that. Whenever you have the ability to eliminate carpet, I always recommend it. Something to keep in mind when you're eliminating carpet is if you have an upper-lower, like an upper-lower duplex with 2 units, one upstairs, one downstairs, you're going to get some noise that transfers from the upstairs to the downstairs using that hard style flooring as opposed to a carpet. Make sure that you're doing something to kind of deaden that noise between the 2 units. I will tell you that this little backing layer that's on here, it doesn't do anything to eliminate the sound transfer from one apartment to another. You can hear footsteps clear as day if you don't do anything to kind of deaden that sound. So that is a consideration to keep in mind if you're thinking about doing something like this and you're doing it in a second floor apartment. Be considerate of the tenants that you're going to have in both apartments and try to do something to deaden that noise a little bit. Next question is with regards to basement storage. Hello, fellow landlords. Quick question for you. Do you allow storage for tenants in the basement? How do you handle that? My basement is an older basement with a lot of pipes here and there, so it isn't ideal for allowing storage, but looking for some insight as to whether it is necessary. I also don't want to be liable for their stuff getting damaged due to potential water leaks. I currently don't allow it, and it hasn't been an obstacle. Thank you. So in Western New York, what we find is that most homes have their washer and dryer hookups in the basement, and most tenants like to be able to store things in the basement. We always have it written into our lease that we don't guarantee a dry basement. The average housing stock inside the city is, early to mid 1900s, late 1800s, or early to mid 1900s for housing stock age. We're not able to guarantee a dry basement. I mean, you're gonna see seepage and things like that over the years into those basements, which is why we don't guarantee a dry basement. And that's written right into our lease that we don't guarantee a dry basement. If somebody wants to store something in the basement, it's at their own risk. We always recommend that they keep it up off the floor using a flooring pallet or some kind of a riser, just something to keep things off of the floor a little bit, so if there is some water that leaks into the basement, that there is some protection. But just make sure that you write it into your lease that storage in the basement is at the tenant's own risk, that you're not responsible for damage to any of their items. And if you think that moisture in the basement may be a concern, make sure that you specifically state that you're not guaranteeing a dry basement. And that's something to keep in mind. I don't know if a tenant lost their belongings as a result of your basement flooding. That's something that they should be filing against their renter's insurance for. In theory, whether or not that actually happens is another story entirely. But that's where you would go first if there was damage to a tenant's items in the basement. Tenant's items are covered by the tenant's renter's insurance, so that's something to keep in mind. And our final question for the day is with regards to gutter cleaning. Who's typically responsible for cleaning gutters on a single-family house, landlord or tenants? The easiest way to answer this question is to say that I don't ever want a tenant doing work on one of our properties. Nothing good can come from having a tenant do work on your property. If that tenant gets hurt, now you're liable. If the tenant does work on the property, now you're talking about the potential for a monetary exchange. It really muddies the water to have a tenant do work on an apartment, and I don't recommend it. Tenants, for the most part, are not licensed and insured contractors and should not be performing maintenance on the home that they're renting from you. That is a landlord responsibility. When you talk about something like a gutter, where there's an opportunity for a slip and fall off of a ladder, so we're talking from a height, something like that, I would never, ever, ever, ever want a tenant on a ladder at height trying to clean out gutters on one of our properties. Because the second that tenant slips and falls, it creates a gigantic issue for the tenant, because obviously they're going to be injured, the property owner, and for the property manager, because everyone's going to get sued in that instance. So my recommendation is no, don't let the tenants clean the gutters on your property. Make sure that you have something in your lease indicating to a tenant that they need to let you know whenever there's maintenance that needs to be done to the property, and that the tenant is not authorized to do any maintenance on their own without the express permission of the landlord. And the landlord shouldn't be giving that express permission, because the landlord should be taking care of their own maintenance needs for the most part. The one thing I would say might be an exception to this would be making, like, if it's a single family and the tenant might be responsible for like lawn and snow or something like that. If that's the case, we don't provide a lawnmower or something like that, so that they can't, whack off a finger with a lawnmower that we provided and have that turn into a situation. If a tenant's truly going to be responsible for the lawn and the snow, then they need to make sure that they're taking care of those needs themselves, either handling it themselves, hiring a service that they pay for that is licensed and insured, or whatever the case may be. But typically, when it comes to actual like household maintenance, we don't want tenants doing anything on a property. Since we're talking about this, I will mention, don't ever, 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 ever let your tenants paint your property. You will wind up with paint from one end of the place to the other, all over flooring, all over cabinets, all over countertops. Don't let tenants paint in your property. Always make sure that you are handling the maintenance on your property. It also allows you to control the end product, the quality of the job, and everything else. It's just a much better situation to find yourself in when you're handling the maintenance on the property. Guys, that pretty much wraps things up for today's show. Thank you so much for watching. We love producing Ask a Property Manager, and you can help us to improve. Drop a question in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube, and your question may be answered in an upcoming episode. If you enjoyed this content, or if we brought some value to your day, please do us a favor and hit that thumbs up button. YouTube and Facebook both push videos based on community feedback, so every like, comment, subscription, and share helps us grow and reach more people. Next week's episode will air on July 1st at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back with another show that you won't want to miss. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.